Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be joining us from. My name is Karina Ivanian. I'm an intake advisor here at the International Students and Programs Office, otherwise known as ISPO at UC San Diego. ISPO is one of the 4 units in the Global Initiatives Department, which includes the International Faculty and Scholar Office, Study Abroad, and the Office of the Assistant Vice Chancellor of Global Initiatives. And today we will be discussing first steps for new international students. The International Students and Programs Office would like to congratulate you on your acceptance to UC San Diego. We're here to assist you throughout your stay in the United States, as well as provide services that enhance the quality of your experience in the US, but also at UC San Diego. As I mentioned before, my name is Karina Ivanian, and I'm an intake advisor at ISPO, and I'm joined by my colleague Gabi, and I'll pass it over to her.
Thank you, Karina. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on your admission to UC San Diego. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Experience and Engagement at ISPO, sort of oversee all the different programs and opportunities for engagement, not only within ISPO, but the wider campus community and our global community. So we're so happy to have you here today and talk about our next steps.
Thank you, Gabi. Before we dive deeper into the content of today's presentation, we just want to go over a few housekeeping things. Just to let you know, you are in listen-only mode, which means you can hear us, but we can't hear you. And this is where the Q&A feature on your screens is super important. This is going to be the main way we're going to accept questions today. So throughout the presentation, if you have questions about the content or anything, please don't hesitate to use that Q&A feature. If by any chance we didn't have a chance to cover or answer your question in today's presentation, please reach out to us by going to icontact.ucsd.edu. This is a great place to kind of connect with one of our advisors, either in virtual advising or via email. So we want to make sure that we answer your question even after this presentation. And lastly, we are recording, so you will be able to view this webinar after it's done. And all of the recordings will be available at inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. We do ask that you give us 5 to 10 business days to process these, but as soon as they're available, we'll post them at inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. And then once again, this is just sort of that Q&A function on your screen. Please feel free to type your questions there, and then one of us will either answer them live at the end during our live Q&A session, or we'll type a response to you using that feature as well. And in regards to today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about ISPO, how we support international student community, sort of some of the requirements to coming to UC San Diego as it relates to requesting your visa documents. And then lastly, we'll talk about approaching deadlines and reminders, as well as webinars and additional resources. And then at the end, we'll have plenty of time for a Q&A session as well. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Gabi.
Thank you, Karina. So a little bit about who we are, the International Students and Programs. So we are a staff of 20 professional staff and 15 student staff here to help you and support you through every step of your program. Not only do we do advising in terms of your non-immigrant status, your F1 or J1 status, but we provide a variety of engagement programs to help you from your journey to becoming a new student at UC San Diego, all the way through your studies and even beyond, to help you with post-completion work authorization if you are interested. So as I mentioned, our team of expert staff, we are here to support you and guide you through every part of your journey at UC San Diego, whether it's helping you reach your academic and personal goals, helping you successfully transition to campus and student life, and engage meaningfully with the university and local community. We are here for those reasons. So a little bit about who our students are. Our students, this is a fall 2021 snapshot. Our one for 2022 is going to be coming out very soon as well, but you can see we have a significant international student population at UC San Diego. So we have nearly 9,000 international students. It's nearly 21% of the campus population. and 2,100 who are working after graduation. So our office serves about 10,000 international students at any given time. And you can see the breakdown here for our undergraduate students, the top 5 majors: economics, mathematics, computer science, international studies, and our econ mathematics combination of studies here. We also have a robust graduate student population. So I know it's early days for our undergrads, but we do have a lot of undergraduate students who are already considering graduate study at UC San Diego, and we have a large graduate student population as well. So again, we just want to welcome you here to campus. We are so excited to have you here in person on site. You can see these are some images from orientation in past years, some of our social coffee hours that we host at our building. These are some glimpses of our building, really being able to interact with other students like you and staff as well to help you transition to life at UC San Diego. We're so excited to have you as part of this onboarding and orientation program. All right, so helping you get started here, we want to make sure that we spend some time going over the ISPO website and our first steps checklist. Some of you might already have seen this. This was sent in a newsletter where you would have signed up for this webinar. And this is a great checklist to go over what you will need to get started as an international student. So you will go to inewstudent.ucsd.edu. I recommend bookmarking that page. It will guide you to our newly admitted international students page on the ISPO website. And you can see here, you can click on undergraduate students. That will then take you to a series of pages that guide you through the process step by step on how to request your visa documents, how to prepare for arrival as an international student, and then what to expect upon arrival at UC San Diego. What's wonderful about these steps as well, not only is it the logistical pieces like requesting your documents, setting up your accounts, getting your ID card, there are also some really amazing guides in there, the new student guide and our surf check guides, which are fantastic resources that are designed by students, by other students for you to help you prepare to come to UC San Diego. So I definitely recommend you check those out as you go through our checklist here. So the first step really into after you've committed to coming to UC San Diego is, of course, getting that valuable visa document. And we know how important it is to get that as soon as possible so you can book your visa appointment. And in order to do so and start that process, you will need to submit a request via the iPortal by going to iportal.ucsd.edu. You do need to make sure that you have set up your student account, so your UCSD email and your student login. As long as you have that information, you are good to go to begin requesting your iPortal document for your I-20 or your DS 2019. All right, so applying for your US visa. This pertains to both students who are applying for the F1 visa and students who are applying for the J1. So again, once you have committed to UC San Diego and you are going to be requesting your visa documents, the first port of call is the iPortal application. You do have to have your Form I-20 from UC San Diego, which we will issue to you in order to apply and even book your F1 visa appointment. Or you need to have your DS 2019 if you are applying for the J1 category to book your J1 visa appointment. The iPortal opened on March 1st. We are currently taking requests, and this is where you will go through and request your Form I-20 or DS 2019. Once you receive those documents, then again, you can book your appointment at your local US Embassy to obtain your visa stamp. Your visa stamp can only be acquired outside the United States, preferably in your home country or your country of legal residence. So the iPortal process, I'll give you a little bit of an overview of what to expect when you log into the iPortal. So once you log into the iPortal, you will be guided to the new student, the new admit request form. There will be very few forms available for you as a new student in that request screen, so you'll be able to see pretty immediately which one you need to request. When you are in that iPortal form for the new admit I-20 or DS 2019 request form, you'll need to be prepared to upload a copy of the biographical page of your passport, as well as financial support documents. So this can be personal funds, funds from your family, if you have a sponsor who is paying for your studies, if you have an approved loan, for example, an educational loan. All of these are accepted, but I do encourage you to take a look at our minimum funding requirements page on our website. Again, you can access that at inewstudent.ucsd.edu. This will tell you the minimum funding that we need to verify, that we need to see from you in order to issue an I-20 document to you or a DS 2019. That page also outlines the exact type of documents that we are able to accept. In general, funds must be liquid. That is, they cannot be investments. They cannot be income statements or, stocks or bonds. They have to be liquid funds to see that you have funds available to fund your studies in the United States. All right, so your visa documents, this is what they will look like once they are issued to you. On the left-hand side, you'll see a copy of the I-20. So this is for students applying for the F1 visa. And you'll see in the top left corner as well, the SEVIS ID. So this is really important. This is your ID that is tied to your F1 record. And this is the number that you will be using to book your visa appointment. This is the most important piece, I would say, in order to book your visa appointment at your local US consulate or embassy. And then on the right, we have the DS 2019. This is for students who are applying for the J1 visa. Your SEVIS ID will be in the top right-hand corner. So again, you're going to need this number in order to book your appointment. Now, an important piece of information here for students applying for the F1 visa requesting the I-20, you will receive this document electronically. This is uploaded in your iPortal account. And once it is ready for you, I should say that our document processing time is 10 business days. So it's a very quick turnaround time. You'll be notified via the iPortal. You can see in your iPortal account what the due date is, so you can track its progress. And then once it's ready, you'll be notified and you can go in and you will take a look at your I-20, make sure it is correct, all the information. You will print that I-20. You will sign that I-20, and then you'll need to take that I-20 to your visa appointment. I do want to be clear about this because some students think, well, because it's issued electronically, I can take a copy on my phone or my computer to the embassy and for travel, and that's not the case. Even though it is issued electronically, you still need to print a hard copy, sign it, and bring it with you to your appointment. Now, for the Form DS 2019, we're sort of in an in-between period right now. Historically, even though the I-20 for F1 students has been able to be issued electronically since the pandemic, students in J1 status receiving a DS 2019 still have to receive this in hard copy form. So you will be prompted to have this, to set up a mailing account to have this sent to you. Same process, you need to check over it, sign it, and bring it with you to your visa appointment and for travel. Now, an important piece of information, regulations have recently changed, and as of the end of this month, April 28th, Form DS 2019s for J1 students can be issued electronically. So this will be changed, this will be updated. But if you are applying for this before that date, you still will receive a hard copy. Either way, you need to bring those hard copies for your visa appointment and for travel at all times. All right, and now I will go ahead and pass it along to my colleague, Karina.
Thank you. As Gabi mentioned, we do a lot of programs to help you transition to campus community, but also to kind of stay engaged. And so even though the bulk of today's presentation was focused on sort of the nitty-gritty things, the important stuff, the immigration documents, we also wanted to share a little bit about our programs and ways that you can get engaged on campus. So first, I want to highlight ISPO specialty programs, also known as I programs. We have a few listed on the screen. And so, for example, English in Action is our English conversation program in which we match international students with native speakers. And you get a chance to practice your English and kind of explore intercultural exchange. International peer coaching program, I'll talk a little bit more about it in the next slide, but this is specifically designed for our first year international students. And this is a great support system for you as you navigate college system in the United States. Coffee Hours is our, I would say, most popular program. This is an opportunity for students to get together with one another, but also meet ISPO staff. We host those monthly, and there's usually coffee and pastries. We also do games and different raffle giveaways. So it's a really fun coffee hour that is hosted in our space. So it's right by our office. And so it's a really nice way for us to meet you and for you to meet us. iTable is our basic needs program. And so this provides resources for things such as food security. And then Trident Trekkers is our partnership with UC San Diego Recreation. And with this program, we take students on different trips around San Diego. And those may include hiking or snorkeling, kayaking. It's a great way to kind of see the greater San Diego area, get off campus, be a little bit active. And it's a really fun way to kind of connect with students, again, off campus. ISAC, also known as the International Student Advisory Council, is a space for undergraduate and graduate students to come together to address the concerns of the international student community on campus. So this is an opportunity for students to meet ISPO leadership and sort of navigate the different challenges that international students may experience. We work on a lot of initiatives to kind of help bring more resources and do advocacy for international students through ISAC. We also host a lot of fun programs. So through ISAC, students can get funding to do cultural programs as well. And a cultural social hour is a fun program. It's usually hosted in the afternoon by our international peer coaches. And this is where students will get together and kind of just have fun. There's usually, again, games and food. It's really informal, and it's very nice to kind of be in community like that. And the last one I'll mention is Community. This is one of our newer programs, and this is a space for students to come together to talk about identity and just different kind of cultural things as well. I know I touched briefly on the International Peer Coaching Program, but this is something that operates out of the ISPO office. And pretty much every undergraduate college, so as you may know, there are different colleges at UC San Diego. So each college has one international peer coach. And you can meet with your peer coach starting in the fall. When you arrive on campus, we can meet on one-on-one, in one-on-one sessions. They'll also host a lot of different programs, both for professional development and just social connection. And so if you're interested in kind of learning more about them, I would encourage you to go to ipeercoaching.ucsd.edu. They're also on Instagram. And so these are some of the pictures of our current peer coaches. So it's likely you may not see the same folks next year when you arrive, but next academic year when you arrive, but there's still a great resource for you to kind of connect with and get advice if you need. We also have another peer mentoring program. So this is our Global Ambassadors program, also known as GAP. And so this is sort of mostly for the summer. And it is designed for undergraduate international and out-of-state students. And so in that time, before you're able to connect with your peer coach, if you're interested, you can sign up to be a GAP mentee. And they'll help you, you know, with any kind of questions in regards to UC San Diego or college life or, you know, transitioning, anything you may have questions about. They're a great resource and sort of one of those lifelong connections that you can make even before you arrive to campus. The application forms are not available yet, but we will let you know through our newsletters as soon as the sign-up forms become available. In addition to our signature programs, sometimes ISPA may host like some one-off programs, or, there's other great campus departments and offices that host other programs with a global focus. And so all of those can be found on our ievents.ucsd.edu website. This is also commonly known as iEvents calendar. So you can see some of those signature programs I mentioned, like community, Trident Trekkers, coffee hours. But again, there's a lot of ways for students to explore their interests and connect with other students. And again, all of these programs are not exclusively for international students, so you also get to meet domestic students through these. And the goal here is for all of us to enhance cultural exchange. We're also on social media. So if you haven't had a chance to follow us on Instagram, please do so now. Our handle is @ispo.ucsd. We also are present on Facebook and YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. But I would say we're most active on our Instagram page. And this is where we'll usually have updates about programs, or different giveaways for students. So it's really fun to stay in touch with us, and for us to stay in touch with you through social media. Before we go into questions, I just wanted to share a few additional resources in regards to upcoming webinars and more. If you're interested to learn more about campus policies as they relate to COVID-19, we encourage you to check out returntolearn.ucsd.edu, also known as the Return to Learn website. So here you'll find all of the latest updates and kind of have, it's a great way to learn more about campus policies as well. As Gabi mentioned, right now is a great time to start requesting your visa documents via iPortal. And again, you can access iPortal by going to iportal.ucsd.edu. We have a lot of great webinars lined up for you. So our next one will be on April 11th, where we'll talk more in depth about the visa application process. We also have one coming up on April 18th that will focus on student health. And if you're interested in attending any of those, please register by going to inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. May 1st is the deadline to accept your admission for undergraduate first-year students. So please make sure to submit your acceptances before then. And then lastly, in September, we're super excited to welcome you for our new International Student Orientation, also known as iOrientation. We're still in the planning process, so we're not going to spoil anything for you. But if you're interested to kind of learn more of what it may look like or what we have done in the past, please visit iorientation.ucsd.edu. And this is just another overview of all of the upcoming webinars. So I know I mentioned the visa application one and the student health one, but we also have one for housing, for students who may be transferring if you are currently attending a college in the United States. We also have one on finances, campus safety, and student life. And again, all of the webinars will be recorded and we'll post them on inewstudentwebinars.ucsd.edu. And again, this is also the website where you can find all of the registrations. At this moment, we're going to transition into questions and answers. So if you haven't had a chance to ask a question, please use that Q&A function. And then Gabi and I will do a live question and answer. Thank you so much for asking. So the question is, what is the best way to make friends as a Black international student? Thank you so much for asking. Abby, would you like to start us off or would you like me to go first?
Yeah, feel free to go ahead and then I can tag on to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a great thing about UC San Diego is the large number of different campus student organizations and clubs. There's also a lot of different centers. So we have Cross-Cultural Center, Black Student Resource Center. And so it's a great way to find your community here. I would encourage you to kind of check out and attend different events as well. to kind of find friends through those opportunities. I'm not sure, Gabi, if I'm missing anything.
Yeah, exactly. I would just echo that. There are lots of different resource centers, and the beauty of the first few weeks, especially at UC San Diego, is that you get to kind of explore through various different resource fairs and presentations about those different organizations on campus. So it can be a student organization or the Black Resource Center, which I just sent a link to. I think what's important too is especially looking at that intersectionality, right, of being coming in with identity of as identifying as Black, but also an international student is really important and unique. And I know that in the past, as part of international student orientation, we have had specific meetup groups based on what, certain interests, backgrounds, identities, and, absolutely we know that our students who organize these would have interest in doing these again. So definitely take a look. When we start to send out information about international student orientation, we have these meetup groups based on, again, different interests or backgrounds or identities, and encourage you to be part of that so you can become part of that community. I do see there's a question here. When is the exact date for the intake in September? I don't know if you necessarily mean orientation or the start of the school year, but I can address both. So the official first day of classes at UC San Diego for this fall is actually going to be the 28th of September. The quarter officially begins on the 25th. And this is kind of a funny thing about UC San Diego. There's always an administrative start of the quarter. And so that's the date you will see on your I-20. It says 9/25/2023, but that's considered week 0. That just gives you a little bit of extra time to get settled, but classes actually start on the 28th. And then in terms of orientation, our orientation program begins early in September. And I will provide the link to our iOrientation site so that you can take a look at our dates. Those actually begin September 12th and runs through the month of September. And these are done in virtual as well as in-person formats so that students can attend from wherever they might be and also have the opportunity to come in person as well, so to mix and mingle with new students. I'll send that link over now. And Karina, do you have anything to add? I saw that you were typing. I wanted to make sure I addressed your feedback too.
Oh, no, that was everything. We do our orientation, as Gabi mentioned, is hybrid, and we do have kind of different sessions that can be divided into like categories. We have our required sessions, which be more related to different regulations that you need to know in order to maintain your status. We also have sessions that talk about employment, but also there's a lot of fun different lunch and learns and social events to connect with other incoming students.
Karina. I see here there's a question too. Is it possible to have a preference in having roommates with similar cultural or ethnic backgrounds? This is a great question. So when you go to apply for housing, it is through the HDH website. You actually, as part of your application, there are areas where you can indicate a preference for certain living and learning communities. So at UC San Diego, there are various different living and learning communities on campus based again on shared interests, shared backgrounds that you could apply to be part of. So make sure you indicate that in your application. I don't think it's necessarily guaranteed, but your preferences will definitely be taken into account. The biggest piece, we like to tell our students, and we want to make sure our students are aware of, is that when you're coming to the US, the biggest piece is being exposed to a whole new culture, getting to know not only other international students, but American students. So really coming with that openness in getting to know others from different cultural backgrounds. That being said, we know obviously also as well how important it is to have that, to have those shared ties and those interests represented in your community and have access to different resources and a little bit of home while you're here. So we know that's a delicate balance. There are various different, again, resources on campus to meet those needs. and different organizations to connect with students from similar cultural or ethnic backgrounds in full support of that. So it's kind of a balance, as I said, but you can definitely indicate that on your housing application. And then there's a question here too, I noticed, is there any possible financial aid for international students? So unfortunately, financial aid is extremely, extremely limited to, I would say, almost non-existent for international students. I just want to be very honest and open about that to kind of, manage expectations about financial aid. Because UC San Diego is part of a state-funded school in the state of California, financial aid is only available truly for US citizens, permanent residents. For international students, there are opportunities to apply for merit-based scholarships. We do have a link on our site that I might ask Karina to pop into the chat that talks about various different types of financial aid that students can apply for. We do have international students who come with funding from their home country, scholarships and so forth. But in terms of federal financial aid, need-based aid, unfortunately, international students are not eligible for those. So we encourage you to look into other resources if that is a need. These are great questions. I'm so glad that we've gotten to address some of these. If you have any more, please feel free to put them in the chat as well for the Q&A. And let me actually go ahead. I'm going to put the financial aid resources. I'm going to put that in the chat really quickly. You're having some technical issues getting to that link. Let me just here. Okay, so ISPO has, let me keep pretty up to date our scholarships, fellowships, and grants for international students. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat here. Hopefully everyone can see that. And so you can take a look and peruse that to see if anything might apply.
Okay, it looks like there are no more questions in the Q&A box. Thank you all so much for joining us for today's pre-arrival webinar. We hope you've enjoyed today's presentation, and we're looking forward to seeing you all next week when we talk about applying for visa. Again, thank you for joining, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.